What if the secret to unlocking your biggest goals isn't a massive overhaul, but something incredibly small and consistent? Imagine transforming your life, not with grand gestures, but by changing just 1% every single day. This isn't about hustle culture. It's about a quiet revolution within yourself that compounds into extraordinary results. Let that thought settle in. Because somewhere along the way, we've been sold the idea that transformation must be loud, dramatic, and fast. That if you're not overhauling your life in a single night, you're falling behind. You've seen it, right? The grand declarations, "From tomorrow, I'll change everything. New year, new me. All in or nothing." But where does that really get us? Most people burn out by week 2. Most resolutions die in silence. And most dreams rot under the weight of unrealistic pressure. Not because the goal was wrong, but because the approach was broken. We chase the big leap. We want the overnight success. We crave instant transformation. But reality? It doesn't reward the impulsive sprint. It honors the consistent step. The people who win, the ones who truly change, they're not running marathons every day. They're improving by inches, quietly, relentlessly, daily. The spotlight chases results, not the process. So you never see the 1%. You don't see the early morning when someone chooses to wake up 5 minutes earlier. You don't see the person who, instead of skipping the workout, does 10 push-ups in their living room. You don't hear about the farmer who plants a seed each morning, trusting it will bloom even when nothing's visible yet. But these are the ones who win. The ones who understand that slow is smooth, and smooth becomes fast. The ones who choose a little bit of discipline, repeated day after day, rather than bursts of motivation that fade by nightfall. You see, discipline isn't just about grit, it's about wisdom. It's the wisdom to know that every great result, every transformed body, every sharpened mind, every peaceful soul wasn't built in a day. It was built in layers with small daily actions most people are too impatient to repeat. Imagine this with me. What if you read 1 page a day, not 10 chapters? You replaced 1 unhealthy bite, not the entire diet. You gave just 1 more ounce of focus to your craft each day, just 1%. That's it. Sounds small? That's because it is. But that's what makes it sustainable. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it dangerous in the hands of someone who doesn't quit. The lie you've been told is that you have to become someone completely different to live the life you want. But the truth is, you don't need to change everything. You just need to improve something. And when you do it every day, even the smallest adjustment, it compounds, it stacks, it snowballs into something extraordinary. You don't feel it at first, and that's what causes most people to stop. They try for 2 days, don't see a miracle, and retreat back to 0. But success is blind to impatience. It rewards only those who trust the process. Those who understand that water doesn't boil at 99 degrees. It takes that 1 extra degree, that final push, that tiny shift, and that's the 1%. So if you've ever felt stuck, not because you didn't have dreams, but because you didn't know how to reach them without exhausting yourself, this message is for you. Because today we're breaking the myth of massive change, and we're replacing it with something far more powerful, something you can use, something you can start right now. This is the 1% revolution. The grand illusion of overnight success. You've been sold a story that greatness comes in an instant. That 1 leap, 1 breakthrough moment, 1 stroke of luck will suddenly shift your entire life. And because of that story, many people are walking around waiting for the spark, the lightning bolt, the sudden shift that finally makes everything fall into place. But that's not how it works. The illusion of overnight success is one of the greatest traps of our generation. What looks like a sudden rise is almost always the result of invisible preparation, silent discipline, and uncelebrated effort repeated over time. People only see the after, the transformation, the result. They don't see the years of struggle, the sleepless nights, the internal wars fought in silence. So when they try something for a few weeks and don't get results, they give up, believing it must not be for them. Why? Because the world celebrates the big wins, the shiny medals, the grand stories. No one claps for the small daily choices. No one celebrates you saying no to temptation. No one applauds you for waking up early, for staying disciplined when no one's watching. But that's where the real game is won. In the quiet, in the shadows, in the parts of your life that no one claps for. You've been lied to, not maliciously, but commercially. People profit from selling you the shortcut, the hack, the big leap. But shortcuts often lead to dead ends, and those who chase the big leap often leap right into burnout and disappointment. Because sustainable success isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explode. It whispers. It builds, slowly, silently, one small choice at a time. Progress is not always visible, and that's why people abandon it. You might be building the foundation of something incredible, but because you can't see the results instantly, you think nothing's happening. It's like planting seeds in winter and expecting a garden by morning. Growth has seasons, and discipline is the gardener. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to change everything all at once. You just need to find your 1% today, and that, over time, is how you win. The compounding effect of belief, how confidence is grown, not given. You were not born confident. No one is. Confidence is not a personality trait, it's a result. It's what happens when you show up for yourself again and again, especially on the days when you have every excuse not to. And yet, most people think confidence is something you either have or you don't. So they wait. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they feel worthy. They wait for the fear to go away. And it never does. That's the trap. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's moving anyway while fear screams in your ear. Confidence is built by acts, not thoughts. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you lay another brick in the foundation of belief. It's just like saving money. At first, you don't see much. You put in your effort, your energy, your decisions, and it feels like nothing's changing. But belief is like compound interest. Show up daily, even just a little, and one day, boom, it catches fire. Your momentum becomes undeniable. Belief is earned by the small wins no one sees, the early mornings, the late nights, the workouts when you were tired, the studying when your brain said quit, the showing up when no one clapped for you. That's where belief grows, in silence. You want to know who becomes unstoppable? It's not the one with the most talent, it's the one who refuses to quit stacking self-respect. Because every time you follow through on your word to yourself, your brain says, we're the kind of person who does what we said we'd do. And every time you break that word, your mind whispers, see, I knew you'd flake. I knew you'd fold. That's why it's not about huge leaps. It's about consistency, discipline, integrity, especially when no one's watching. Confidence doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It comes from living in a way that your future self would be proud of. You don't wait for confidence. You build it. One choice at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time. You already have what it takes. You just haven't kept the promise long enough yet. But you can start now. And if you do, if you keep going, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, then one day you'll look back and realize the version of you that used to doubt everything is gone, replaced by someone who doesn't just believe, but knows. Implementing your daily 1%, practical hacks. The question now isn't whether you have potential. You do. The real question is, what are you doing with it today? You don't need a grand strategy. You don't need a 5-year plan with perfect steps. What you need is a daily lever, a small intentional action that nudges your life in the direction of growth. That's your 1% lever. The one thing that may look small on the surface but builds momentum underneath. Ask yourself every morning, what is one small thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? That's your target. Maybe it's getting out of bed the moment your alarm rings. Maybe it's choosing discipline over comfort, focus over distraction, water over soda, honesty over convenience. Small, intentional, Powerful. And here's the trick most people miss: habit stacking. You don't need to create massive routines from scratch. That's a recipe for failure. You just attach your new habit to something you already do. You brush your teeth every morning? Stack a 2-minute gratitude practice right after it. You drink tea every afternoon? Stack a 5-minute walk or a goal review. The human brain loves rhythm, and stacking habits taps directly into your brain's natural patterns. Change isn't built in the chaos of trying to do everything new. It's built in the flow of building on what already exists. But what about the hard days? The days where you just don't feel like it, where your mind tells you, skip it. You've done enough. Rest. You can start tomorrow. Here's the truth. Those are the most important days, because on those days, you're not just building a habit, you're building identity. You're proving to yourself that you're no longer a slave to emotion. You're not controlled by feelings, you're guided by purpose. Reduce the friction, not the standard. If you don't feel like doing a 30-minute workout, do 5 minutes. If you can't read 10 pages, read 1 paragraph. If you don't have an hour to write, write 1 sentence. But never break the chain. Show up, even if it's messy, even if it's weak, especially if it's weak. Because in showing up when it's hard, you're telling your brain, I do hard things, I follow through. That's the power of the 1%. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. So now you know, self-doubt is not truth. It's not prophecy. It's just noise. Noise you've heard for so long, you started believing it was your identity. But here's the reality. The version of you that doubts, hesitates, and plays small. That version was taught, which means it can be unlearned, broken, rewritten. You don't need a miracle to change your life. You need a decision, a quiet, firm decision that says, I am done negotiating with my fears. You're not late, you're not behind, you're just one choice away. One choice to start showing up as the person you were always capable of becoming. One choice to speak truth over the lies. One choice to stop bowing to that voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? Because you know what the answer is? You're the one who didn't quit. You're the one who kept going. You're the one who finally woke up and realized, I don't need permission to believe in myself anymore. This is your moment. This is your invitation, not to be perfect, but to be progressing. So take it, own it, live it. And remember, doubt will always knock, but now you know you don't have to answer the door. Believe boldly, walk humbly, and rise daily. Until one day, the only voice louder than your fear is your faith.